guys, welcome to the Marvellous Mischief. I am the Crafty Rat. So this is my first video, so I'm not going to bore you too much, but I will give you a brief background to what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. I've been crafting for forever, since I was a little girl. I do all sorts of crafts, sewing, knitting, crochet. I've attempted card making, didn't like it very much. My mum was a genius at that. And then about 15 years ago, I got into jewellery making. From there, I progressed into a little bit of resin, did a little bit, not too much, dipped my toes in the water, and kept going. I also do glass fusing. Well, I have done, I've not done it for a while. And then about 2 years ago, I got back into resin. And I've not only got back into resin, I've gone a little bit crazy with resin. I have got well over 200 moulds, well over. And I only know that because I've started organising them with my poor husband, Mr. Crafty Rat. Yeah, and I'm only a fraction of the way through. So yeah, lots of moulds. Like many other resin artists, I have a little bit of a problem with Temu. A lot of my items either come from Temu or Shein, but hey ho, that's how it goes. So that's pretty much me. The reason why I'm doing this is mainly just for a record. What I'm doing, how I'm doing it, just so I've got a bit of thing to work on. Now, if anybody else can learn from me, that would be absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to get straight into it. Right, so today what I am doing is another one of these. So I made it out of scraps from a different project I was doing, and I have lots of problems. So the lid, as you can see, there are bubbles, and on the base there's lots more bubbles. So I made that, really proud of it. I know it's got its faults, but I'm not perfect. However, my wonderful youngest daughter decided she wanted a pink one. She loves pink. So what I've done, she does resin as well, just to give her a little bit of a plug there. I've got her to choose the colours. Now, all of this is from Temu, which is crazy, I know, but there you go. So for the main flower, she's chosen these two colours. These are just generic, cheap mica powder. And I'll be painting on the leaves, and it's like a bluey green. So I'll be doing that in a moment. And the mould I'll be using, as you've seen, is this one. This one came from, or I got this one from Temu. So it's a pretty hefty mould. So yeah, it's going to require, I believe, about just short of 300 mils of resin. I did measure it, I promise. So I'm going to be making up 300 mils of resin. We'll see what happens. I have plenty of moulds around me, so if it's too much, fingers crossed it's too much, I'll have loads more to pour. So I'm going to get straight into it. I'll be doing, from this point onwards, I will be doing a voiceover because I will be wearing a respirator. And yeah, so there we go. You can see me attempting to get this mould inside out. I had a lot of fun with this, and just be glad that the video is sped up because it took me a while. The petals and the rose were a little bit fiddly, so I'm just giving it a quick clean up. And now the chameleon powder that I'm using, I've taken the lid off and just making sure I'm not wasting any, scraped it all into the lid and
as you can see now, it's just a case of painting it into the leaves. So I'm not being particularly careful, it's just a case of getting it in there, because as you'll see in a moment or two, I go and start cleaning it up. Now for this part I'm just using a bog standard baby wipe, just cleaning up generally, not being very neat about it, just getting the majority of it off. This is a cotton bud. I've sprayed a little bit of 99% isopropyl alcohol onto it, and I'm just using it to neaten up the edges and tape just to get in some of the last bits off that are there. Now I've put it in correct way around, and as you can see, I was pointing out there, I've managed to get powder all over the place. So I'm just cleaning it up again, neatening it up, and making sure that most of it's off. As I said, don't expect perfection, but it's just a rough getting it cleaned. And so unlike me, I'm tidying the surface. Right, I've already measured my small amount of 300ml of resin, and I'm just going to be splitting these up into two parts. As you can see, the cups I'm using, the paper cups that I've had for a while, all I do is let them cure and then reuse them. I hate throwing things away. So I'm currently measuring, I think, 135 mils, 135 grams of resin, because that, when I weighed the rose to begin with, that's exactly how much it weighed. So just to get it correct there. I am not mixing this quickly. This is the video sped up. If I didn't speed it up, then we'd be here for hours. So I'm just mixing the lighter pink, putting it away, and now on to the darker pinky purple. Now, as you can see, there are quite a lot of bubbles in the resin. I figured since I'm mixing mica in, it won't make much of a difference. I apologise for all the ums, never done this before, so... Right, so they're mixed up, giving them a quick spray of 99.9% just to get rid of some of the surface bubbles, and now doing some last minute touch up. Now with the pouring of this, what I'm doing is I'm going to be pouring both the pink and the purple at the same time. Just trying to... I think I've got a little bit stuck in there. Like, can I get it out? No, probably not, but there we go. As you can see, I'm pouring a little bit, turning it around, and now trying to get the bubbles out. I do say trying. That's it. It's mainly just to get the majority of it out, and now it's just a case of topping it up, pouring some in, now going around the edges again, cleaning off the edge of the stick. I'm not worried about mixing this because it's all going to mix together anyway. Now at this point I was starting to get a bit worried that I'd completely and utterly miscalculated, because when I was pouring it, the cups, I didn't feel like there was going to be enough in for the actual rose. There was, spoiler alert. So I'm just attempting to get the bubbles that usually come under the lip, and we'll soon see how that works. Right, so that's the lid done. Now onto the base. Just cleaning my hands up a bit. I hate them getting sticky, but that's what you've got to do. So as you can see here, my pouring's not the best, but hey ho. Now squeezing the petals at the top of the base, just to try and dislodge any surface bubbles that are on the mould itself, and then just continuing to pour, twisting it round, pouring some more, and just it's rinse and repeat until it's filled up, really. I'm scraping the edges. I hate waste. I hate throwing anything away, which is why you'll see these cups, which have probably been used for about 4 or 5 different projects up to date. and I will only throw them once they are completely unusable anymore. Just getting the last of the dregs into the base. Making sure I do that for both sides. And now, just going around hoping to get rid of any of the air bubbles which showed up on the original one that I did. Right, and as you can see at the top of the screen, I have lots. As my husband pointed out, who's doing all the editing, I did measure this really. Lots of resin back there. So now it'll be a case of using that up. So as you just saw there, spraying the top, again, getting rid of surface bubbles. Now, this little tortoise in the bottom, I'd filled the shell up with clear. Then, just as it was still tacky, I'd rubbed it over with a chameleon. I can't remember which chameleon. And now I'm topping it up with black. This is just, I think it's an Inclab pigment. It's just a bog standard black. Any really work for this. So I poured the tiny amount into my little cup, and now I'm just putting some in. It's off to the side as my husband's nicely removing the top of it, because I'm so prepared. I was so prepared when it came to doing this. So I just shifted everything out of the way there. Right, need a bit more, and just mixing it up. As I said, this is sped up. I was doing it slow, so I'm trying to limit the bubbles, but we'll see. So again, putting a bit more in, and now going to be pouring it into the turtle. Again, spraying just to dislodge any bubbles. Now for me, it was really unusual because when I poured this black, it was the perfect amount. I couldn't believe it. Usually I've got too much, or more often than not enough, so then I've got to spend another 5 minutes getting some more out, but managed to do that perfectly there. And that's my little tortoise. I think it's a tortoise with a round shell. I have lots of them. So yeah, that's sprayed again, and now all I'm doing is, this is left over. I did have a lot. I'm pouring in yes, this was purple. I don't want it too dark. I think I had it darker than I first thought I was going to, but it turned out alright, as you'll see shortly. So I'm just mixing it up off screen and getting my husband to get me a load of my spare moulds that are off to the right. Now these are a pack of crystal moulds that we got from Shock Horror Temu, and literally just going to pour these in, giving it a bit of a squidgy just to try and dislodge any air bubbles that are in there. And then just topping them up. And for the next, oh yeah, went a bit heavy-handed there. So all I'm doing now is scraping it back in. So I think I do 4 or 5 of these. But as you can see from the video, it's sped up a little bit. Just because you don't need to see the same thing over and over and over again in real time. And making sure I give each one a little bit of a squeeze, just to try and dislodge any bubbles that have clung to the surface of the silicone. Right.
Right, so these have fully cured now. I only know that because it's been well over 24 hours, closer to probably 48. But there we go. So I'm going to demold these first. These are just the spares that I did. So this is a matte mould, something I've done over the last couple of projects. Hello. And you may notice I have a little bit of a thing for turtles and tortoises. So here we go. Shiny. Is that for? Yeah. So that's them two. Now, I didn't realise just how much spare left over I had. So I've got quite a few, and I'm going to be starting to collect these little crystals as I have an idea for something. So I'm just going to quickly run through getting these ones demoulded. So this one has had a lot of overpour, but I can just pull that off. There's no problems with that. So there are all my little crystals. So now for the main event. Now, I don't normally use J-Diction resin, but I figured I'd give it a go. I've not had that. It's worked perfectly fine. The only thing I've noticed compared to my normal resin is it does shrink a lot, but I can deal with that. That's not a problem. So, these, just bear with me. Right, okay. Let's get this out. Let's see how I have done with this one. Ooh, right. So this is the lid that I've done. Now I do have a lot of bubbles. Little, don't know if I can get them. Yeah. A lot of bubbles on the underside, which is a little bit annoying, but I think that one there. Nope, they're all bubbles. So when we compare it to my last one, I'm going to have to think about what to do with that. So, I mean, it looks pretty, or I think it does. Hopefully my daughter, when she gets home from school, will think it looks pretty. So that's the top. Now for the base. So let's, sorry for going out of camera there. Oh, just bear with me. Right, so almost out. Oh, let me just put this the correct way. There we go. Right, so that's them. So now let's have a look at this. I'm really loving the colours. I wish I'd have chosen a slightly more prominent green, but it really, to be honest though, no, it's greeny purple, so it does actually go with the flowers. Now I do have some little micro bubbles on this bottom part here, but this one, unlike the lid, is nowhere near. Get that into focus. I don't know. Yeah, can you see that? Yep. So can you see how I've got loads there on the original one? So with regards to that, this one, the base is a lot better. I don't have that same issue on there. I mean, it looks stunning. I absolutely love it. So, as I say, I just hope my daughter does when she gets home from school. Oh, I've just noticed there, I do seem to have a little bubble. Can't get it on camera, but it don't matter. We don't expect perfection. But I'm really loving that. My daughter's colour choice is absolutely amazing. There's my tower of molds going over. Yay! Got to knock something over. So there we go. Oh, right. Let me know what you all think. That's that.